Welcome back. So, initially, when I saw the posts today, well, more this one, the other one actually is more in depth, but I thought this was going to be a much longer post, and it's actually a very short, quick, to the point post, and I think it's potentially an excellent change, especially when we look at it with the other potential changes. But, let's look through it and see. So, number one, we're getting changes to the upgrade system. So the current star system with 0 to 6 stars is going away. It's getting replaced with a simplified, well, maybe not even simplified, shorter system, I guess is more accurate, replacing it with a 0 to 3 system. And I'm going to be really curious to see how it's implemented because they didn't really give a whole lot of examples here. Um, I mean, they specifically mention weapons and vehicles right here, so that's probably really good since upgrading vehicles right now is awful, just because of how expensive they are. So going down to a 0 to 3 system, again, it depends on what the silver pricing is like, but we can get into that more in a minute. So they say hopefully this will make it easier to understand. To be honest, I think the current system's pretty easy to understand. The issue is that it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like the economy's just not good in game right now. So what I'm curious to see is if we're going from 0 to 6 to 0 to 3, what lower tier weapons are going to start at and what higher tier weapons are going to start at. Their examples are Rising, which is like a BR1 weapon. So you're going from, I guess, 3 out of 4 to 2 out of 3, which isn't a huge change. You're still upgrading it like once. Um, Assuming that it doesn't start at 1 star. I was under the impression that most things started at 1 star, but again, they just don't do enough of an example here. Well, I guess not everything starts at 1 star. Um, because some of the like high star weapons start partway through. Anyway, the point is, I wish that they went into more detail here to show more of how this is changing. Because just taking this rising picture to rising picture, effectively nothing has changed. But still, I'm curious to see with like BR5 weapons and BR3 weapons, things with more stars. Regardless, our other big change, and honestly a much bigger article, and honestly the much more important change, are the economy changes. We have been bitching and moaning about this for 6, 7 months now since the merge happened, and we are finally getting more substantial economy changes. So, there's going to be a significant reduction in research time and silver prices. You can peruse this at your leisure. I'll leave a link in the description down below. But looking at this at tier 5, it's a 30% reduction. So, for your most expensive things, at tier 4, it's down 35%. At tier 3, it's down 53%. Tier 2, it's down 61%. I'm not really worried about tier 1 stuff. Tier 1 stuff is really quick to research as it is. But tier 3 getting cut in half for research prices, it's going to make blowing through the tree so much faster. Because one of the issues that's existed with researching and Enlisted, basically since they added the system, and you could even argue going all the way back to the campaign system, is that you would hit a point very quickly in your progression where you would go from getting new things relatively quickly to suddenly everything was like chugging through quicksand or chugging through deep mud. Um, and it happened in the middle of the tree. It actually happened pretty early in the tree. Because everything from BR3 to BR5 more or less cost the same. And traditionally it was an issue with weapons too, because with like silver prices, because you would potentially want to try out lots of different weapons, But realistically, because of the way the silver economy worked, you had to pick and choose what you thought was going to be the most effective, and sometimes you'd have to skip upgrades because, getting a better upgrade was only one research point position further down the tree. So, going off of that, there's also silver changes coming in. So tier 1 soldiers are going down by 80%. Tier 2 soldiers are going down by 80%. Tier 3 by 44, or tier 3 by 44, and tier 4 by 31, which are pretty significant discounts. Especially for tier 3 soldiers, I find that even though statistically tier 4 soldiers are usually better, they have like more perk points to spend, there are a lot of tier 3 soldiers with perks that are good enough that it's either more price efficient to go with tier 3 or tier 2 in some cases, or the tier 4 perk just is worse. It's not always the case, and I think in a lot of cases it's user preference. I think the difference is usually only a couple of perk points anyway. But it's nice to see that they're becoming cheaper. Like 1500 for a tier 2 soldier is like nothing. There are so many people that are going to be able to upgrade their soldiery by like a whole tier now just because of that. And 7900 for a tier 4 soldier is kind of a lot still. But I also find that you don't need that many, and there aren't actually that many classes that have tier 4 soldiers. So it's probably not the end of the world, and it's certainly better than 11,500 silver. So going to vehicles, this one we like to see. So okay, so this is with the maximum discount, and this is normal. So right now, I'm pretty sure the bottom one is right now. Well, okay, so the crossed out ones are right now, but this is, I don't know. The top numbers look good, but I don't think I've ever seen a vehicle upgrade for 15,000 at BR5. But maybe that is with the max up or the max discounts available. But like this bottom number looks about right. Like 49,000 for vehicle upgrades looks right, which is why I usually just end up using the vehicle upgrade tokens that I save up for vehicles that I particularly like. So the moral of the story here is that the BR3 upgrade is going down by 80%. The BR2 is going down by 80%. At max discount, it's going down by 75%. BR4 is 44%, BR3 is 32%. So upgrading vehicles is actually becoming something that's realistically achievable. And up until now, I feel like for most people, even myself included, I feel like upgrading vehicles outside of using the upgrade tokens just was not worth it. Like, you would get bonuses by upgrading them. And if it was a vehicle that I really liked, or one that I knew I was going to have on my lineup all the time, I would spend the resources to do it. And I have done it with silver before. I just hate doing it with silver because, come on, it costs a fortune. Now, looking at upgrading weapons, they're similarly going down. So I assume that this is the same track. So at max discount, it was 3,000 at BR5, 4, and 3. And now it's getting a staged reduction. So at BR3, it's 750. BR4, it's 1670. So big discounts. 75% less to upgrade at BR3 is huge. It's actually amazing that BR3 is becoming a real viable standalone BR again. Because some of the stuff at BR3 is amazing. Like, it's the core of the war, in my opinion. And now that it can matchmake without seeing BR5 and BR1, and now that you can actually upgrade the weapons and gear at BR3 without costing a literal fortune, That's huge. I think it's going to make it a much more standalone, much more independent BR. And having every BR in the game be viable, not just, BR2 and BR5, is a change that I've enjoyed seeing. And I hope that they continue to do things like this. I like that I can potentially play BR4 now, for example, and not be permanently mid tier. I also like that I can take all of my BR5 guns and I can actually upgrade them now without blowing through every bit of silver that I have. So, in addition to all that, purchasing equipment like the tertiary equipment is going down. The big ones here are backpacks going down 80% from 1,000 silver to 200, and melee weapons going down from 500 to 100. It's less significant with grenades and with mines, and I understand why that is. They're still trying to limit spam for them, but it's not really limiting spam, it's just delaying it. Maybe they're just punting and hoping that you'll get bored, but oh well. Flasks are going down from 400 to 80, so that's really nice. I mean, 400 wasn't a ton, but I mean, it's a flask. So having them go down to 80 is nice. It's too bad that I've pretty much bought a flask for every soldier at every BR on every lineup at this point. I mean, there's probably a few that I don't have it for, but I've dumped a ton of silver into flasks. And medkits are going down from 200 to 40, which is a nice change. Again, it wasn't a ton of silver, but having it cost less is nice. So, let's see. No forced conversion of research points. We've abandoned the idea of introducing a limit to excess research points and any forced conversion of them into silver. So the amount you've already accumulated will remain with you. So that's nice. I like that I've been able to store up a ton of research points. I wish that I had everything done with Japan so that I had a stockpile of it for Japan, but oh well. It'd be kind of nice if I could transfer it between nations and just finish off the handful of things that I don't have in Japan, but I probably should just sit down and research them. It's not like it would be particularly difficult. Um, but it does look like they're going to find more uses for research points, so you'll be able to get veterans boxes and you'll be able to convert them into silver. I assume the veterans box is going to be the RNG loot crate thing that they were talking about to get old event rewards, so that'll be nice. Maybe. We'll see. And bonus silver for battle heroes. So they've decided not to change their previous proposed reward of 100 for each badge to a max of 500. They believe that this should be a nice little bonus. And the dynamic bonus for any team. Many of you noted that the planned 20% boost to XP and silver when opting into a random nation is insufficient. We've taken this into account, and interesting. So it'll be more. So combined with the 50% for victory, the reward multiplier will be calculated using the formula of 1.2 times 1.5 equals 1.8 and a 50% bonus for losing. So a reward multiplier of 1.5. I've talked about this before they even added a bonus to this. I still don't think that the bonus to playing for any team should just be XP and silver. I think that the bonus for playing for any team needs to be something substantial that you can take back to your main nation, because a lot of the people that are going to come in and start playing the game, they're going to log in, they're going to have all of their progress on, like, I don't know, Germany. That's the popular nation, right? And they're going to go and play Japan for the first time, and they're going to have nothing for Japan. And it's great that when they get slotted into Japan, or Russia for that matter, every game for the next like 30 games, that they're going to be playing a different nation and they're going to be getting faster progress on the different nation. But the thing is, If they don't give a shit about that nation, they're never going to use this feature. Like, I can tell you personally, like, even though I like playing any nation, when I get on to play a specific nation, just whatever I'm in the mood for that day. And this is not a system that I'm going to use because getting research bonuses towards the random nation, like, that's great and all, but I want to be able to take what I get for volunteering my time, basically, back to my main nation and have it be something that actually substantially benefits my main nation. Which is why initially, when they had talked about doing this, I suggested that they create a system for earning gold orders. Um, I don't remember exactly what I said. I think I said something like you play like 50 battles or 100 battles or whatever, um, without leaving. Because if you would leave, it would, take away one and like disable you from getting the next one. Um, just to like discourage that. And it would rotate through each of the gold orders. So, like it would go like soldier, gun, vehicle. Because it's something that everybody can make use of. And it's something that you can take back and put towards your mate. Like you can go in and you can get whatever random nation, and eventually, you play your 50 battles, you play your 100 random battles as whoever, and now you can go back to Germany and get your brand new like Breda PGCR, or whatever it is that you want. I don't know. I just feel like they need to look at doing more substantial rewards that aren't just silver and research points for the nation that you're playing. Um, no, I don't think that they'll do this, but if they made it so that you could research stuff for your main nation while doing the random team thing, um, so you could like either opt into the traditional system where your research goes to whatever nation you're playing, or you could opt into like a hybrid system where like half the research goes back to your main nation. I think that would be more worthwhile as well. Just something to allow you to continue progressing your main nation while also balancing out the matchmaker. Because like I know just from playing this and playing War Thunder and playing other games like World of Tanks over the years, right? There and World of Warships for that matter, just a bunch of these different research tree based games. There are people that I've played with that are like me and they'll play every nation. And I don't think that's the majority. I think that most of the people I've played with play like one or two nations, and they primarily focus on those nations, and they don't really branch out. And as long as you keep trying to incentivize them like this to play, the random nation button, they're just not going to do it. Like, they don't have anything researched for the other nations, they don't want to start over, they have their toys, and they want to keep using them and progressing their main nation. So, it's cool that they're increasing the rewards for this. I just don't think that it's the right type of rewards. Like it's not a question of is it enough output? It's a question of picking the correct type of reward to incentivize people to actually interact with the system. And I just don't think that this hits the mark. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a lot more people interact with it than I think. We'll see. Certainly, it's good if you're just starting out and you don't know what nation you want to play. And certainly, it's good if you don't care what nation that you play. I just don't think that that's the majority of people. But let me know what you think down below. Across the board, I think that these are pretty good changes. Nothing to complain with here. I would like more information about how the new star system is going to work. I assume if we're going down to 3 stars, and especially if it's like 3 stars at every BR, I assume that we're going to start at 1 star, but maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe at BR1 we're going to start at 2 out of 3 stars, and at BR5 we'll be at like 1 out of 5. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, we're probably going to be well, not probably, we're definitely going to be spending less silver. We're definitely going to have more well-rounded, upgraded soldiers, kits, the whole 9 yards. People are actually going to be able to pick up different weapons and try out different loadouts that they wouldn't have been able to before. So, good changes across the board. I definitely think this will make it easier to get into, especially when you hit where you would have hit that first wall, like the BR-2-3 range. It seems like that's basically going away, and we're getting a more steady tiered progression system instead of, one to hit a wall where everything for the rest of the game costs a fortune. So, good changes to see. As per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.